Welcome to Computer-Aided Design for Quilters, Absolute Beginners. Recently, I've seen a couple of people post that they're having trouble with lines in their pantographs that seem to be unremovable. If you have Pattern CAD, which comes with Pro, you should be able to fix this problem, although it could be complicated if your design is really complicated. I'm going to show you how to fix it for a simple design. So this is the problem. If you choose a pantograph that starts in, if you choose a design, like a block design, that starts and finishes in the same place, like this one does, you won't get what you want when you just connect a bunch of them like this. Let me demonstrate. If I go to Quilt, which is where we'll see what's going to happen here, because these designs start and stop in the same place, they have to have a line connecting them. So it starts here, it stops here, then it's got to start here again and stop here, and then it's got to start here. So there'll be a sewn line here, which might not matter too much at the top or bottom of your quilt. But with all these beautiful curves, you probably don't want something like that going through the center of your quilt. Yet you still might want a very simple design like this. Maybe you're trying to showcase a special fabric or the design of your quilt. So I'm going to show you how to change this design pretty simply so that it will start here so it will start here and end here, and then start here and end here, and you won't have that line ruining your pattern. So in order to do this, we're going to go to Pattern CAD. This design starts here, like I said, and goes around and ends. And what we need to do, though, is get this start point over here so that it starts here, and then we'll need to drag the end point over to there, and we'll need to do that by adding a couple of extra sewing lines. I almost didn't show you how to do it on this particular design because it is a little more complicated than Absolute Beginners, but some of you might be willing to try it at this point. So first, the easiest way to get my start point over here is to either rotate this design or just flip it. So we're going to go to Edit, and we're going to choose that whole design there. Oops, not that way. I've made that mistake before. Unselect all. Let's choose Select All, and we're going to flip that design. Hopefully. Flip it that way. All right, and now my start point is over here where it belongs. Now, how do I get my end point over here? Well, I'm going to need two more lines, right? Right now the design ends here. I need to make an arc down to here and an arc over to here. But this is the confusing part, and the part I almost didn't want to show you. If I try to do that, I'm going to have three lines that are identical, and they'll be hard to separate out, and then they'll be hard to pair together the way we want to do this. So first, I'm going to unselect all. So let's get back to select, unselect all, and then we're going to focus on one of these petals, we'll call it. I want to turn both of these into a line. So I'm going to go right click, line type, line. Your program might do something different. Oh, and I didn't even want a line. I wanted an arc because I need a handle in the middle. So now I have this handle in the middle, and I'm going to highlight this and then just pull it back over here where it was. And we'll do the same with the other side. So again, I've highlighted these two choices, then I'm going to go right click, line type, arc, and we'll pull this, oops. So what I did here is that I forgot to highlight that block, so I was only pulling one of those at a time. So let's try again, right click, line type, arc. I need to highlight this block so that I can move both of these at the same time. All right? And now I want to draw the final line from here to here to here. So I go back to draw. On options, I need to make sure I'm not on continuous line anymore. I usually draw on continuous line, but for a repair like this, it's not continuous line, and I want to draw an arc. So I'm going to start from here and draw down to here, and then from here and up to here. So now my design will sew through, starting and ending here, and then continuing on to go to here and here. But first, we need to match all of our, let's undo that, sorry, I need to go to edit, and we'll need to join all of these nodes, snap, and these, snap, perfect. And then we'll go back and adjust our lines here. As you can see, this petal ended up quite a bit wider than this petal now, so let me narrow it down a bit. And we'll select this, narrow this down a bit. Unselect all, which is my favorite button. It keeps me from making some serious mistakes. Select that one and pull it out. Now you can see that doing it this way is going to require some extra work, and many of you might not want to do that, but I think it's important to know that it can be done. I haven't taken a lot of time to make sure these petals look exactly like those petals, and obviously this is a symmetric design, and using some of the other tools might be easier than doing things this way. But I want to show you how it's actually done. So now we have this design. We're going to save this pattern. We're going to call it 1 petals so I can find it quickly. Save. And then we're going to get out of here. Do I wish to save my current pattern? No, because I know I just saved it. I know this isn't right. It's what I had pulled up before. I'm going to select my pattern, which is this 1 petals pattern. Then I'm going to add a bunch in until it looks pretty. And now let's see how it's going to quilt out. It should be 1 continuous line. Actually, I think it might not be. Because I made a mistake. Nope, there it is. 1 continuous line from beginning to end. Not so difficult. So you can do this with any design. I recommend that you get used to the idea of matching lines and pulling them as a pair in order to get used to if you want to do a more complicated design, because it's really a bit of a challenge sometimes to get those lines lined up right on top of each other. If I can show you, just anybody still watching, to animate the stitching now, it's going to go all the way through it. It's now actually doubling this section and moving on through. All right. Let me show you what I mean about a more complicated pattern. Let's say you have something like this, and you really don't want to have to place each one of these. It's important to you that this one runs into this one and goes to the next one. But your problem is that the start point is not where it needs to be. So let's go back to Pattern CAD. We have this design then in Pattern CAD. You can see the start and the finish are right here in the middle. It's kind of a mess. What are we going to do? You're going to take it step by step, piece by piece, and put it back together again. It's not as hard as you might think. First, we need to get the start point somewhere other than the center. We're going to need the start point at one end and the end point at another end. That means there's going to be a lot of overstitching. But if we do it neatly, it's going to be pretty and we don't have to panic. All right. I used to be able to change my start point without any trouble at all, and somehow I have lost that skill. I've chosen here, let's see, let's go to edit and see if that works. Edit, tools, move start point to here. Tools, move start point. It worked, yay. All right, so now I have my start point here and my end point here, which is interesting. I wonder how it's doing that. Okay, that's cool. So start point here, end point here. Everything looks pretty good. The only problem is now we have to work our way all the way back to here for our new end point. So let's get to work. This first piece looks like it's an arc. Let's double check. Yeah, it's just got one handle, one box, so it's not a spline, it's an arc. In fact, now that I'm looking at it, I think probably all of these are going to be arcs, just one spline. They're a lot easier to match, or one handle, sorry. They're a lot easier to match than splines are, so that's good. I'm not sure what this is because I think I've highlighted what I needed to, but maybe not. This looks like it's probably a spline, maybe. Let's see. Nope, that's an arc. And that's an arc. So all we're going to end up doing is working our way from one end to the other, repeating over these lines. Some of you might not like the way that looks. That's fine. Don't do it. But for me, I would probably do it because I like the way the continuous design looks when it goes right into the next design. So again, we're going to go back to draw. I'm going to make sure that I'm on that I'm not on continuous line. And I'm going to start drawing arcs. Arcs. There we go. The first one from here to here. Looks pretty good. Then to here. I think I have to keep it on there. There we go. All right, now, once I've done this, I think you guys can see that there's a bit of a problem. If I continue on and come back here, I'm going to end up with lines that cross each other. I don't know where they go. It's kind of a mess. I'd like to line this line up with this curve at least a little bit more. So I'm going to go to edit right now. And I'm going to select my two ends. And I'm going to pull this handle up there. It's not perfect. That's okay. I'm all right with that. And then unselect all. We'll fix that later. Then I'm going to go back to draw. We're going to start again from here. Go over to here. Kind of like this now. I was going to go back this way, but I might as well go on, right? Over to here. And again, it's starting to get a little messy. I might have problems telling what's what. So I'm just going to go to edit. Choose these ends. Pull that over. That looks so good. It's kind of nice. Unselect this one. Guess I could snap these together now. I'll probably snap these together. Snap and snap these together. Snap and snap all this together. Snap. And now if I choose this and this, we need to decide which direction this moves. I like the idea of the retraced lines going from one side of the pattern to the other, but you might not like that. You might like it all more on one side. If you're using heavy thread, this will probably matter a lot. If you're using light thread, probably won't matter much to you at all. Okay, we got those almost together. Closer, pretty close. All right, so what I'm going to do See how the line comes through this here and this here? I'm remembering that because I'm going to turn this into a new arc, which makes it straight. And then I'm going to grab both these boxes at the same time and pull them up here. There we go. So now that line is really together. Unselect all. I'm going to choose this guy and this guy. If we're lucky, we'll be able to pull this right up here. One right on top of the other. Close. It's pretty close. I might choose to move it a little differently. Say, okay, this is right along here. Let's go ahead and get these lined up perfectly. Line type arc. And then I'm going to grab the box. Oops, not going to do that. Go back. That looks really good. I'm not going to mess with it. All right, so far we have started our line here, worked to here, over to here, back through here. Now we got all this curvy space to do. So I go back to draw. I'm going to go from here to here, from here to here, from here. Let's see what we can do. From here, maybe it would be best to go over to here. I think so. And then from here to here. And then we're most of the way done once we get this stuff done. All right, so back to edit. Snapping, 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 snapping. I watched a video recently where a lady was teaching how to make patterns, and she had this great way of making sure that her video didn't last too long. I'll need to figure out how to do that. All right, so we're going to choose these two. We need to get these lines lined up. So I'm going to grab that box and pull it over. Pretty close, maybe not exact. Like I said, personal preference if you're happy with that. I probably wouldn't be, but my quote might never get done. All right, then I'm going to grab this, pull it up here. Close. Pretty darn close. Okay, that one's perfect. Then undo this. And, okay, did you see, if you saw what I did there, I just kind of grabbed something before it was selected and I started pulling it all over the place. It looked like it messed up my whole pattern. It was awful. I'm just going to use this backup button and it fixes everything. I think part of the problem is that these might not be snapped together. So we're going to snap them. Oops. Oh, it said that because I have this also selected. So I need to deselect that. This needs to be snapped. Still doesn't look quite snapped to me, but maybe it is. Now I'm going to select this and select this. Grab that box, pull it down here, close as I can. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. It's not perfect though. There we go. And then unselect this one. Select this one. Again, that looked like I made some sort of mistake, so I'm just going to go back just in case something got separated somehow. And then we're going to pull this guy up to here. Perfect. Okay. Now, back to draw, because I need to draw from here over to here. Now, I see a little cheat here. If I wanted to, I could probably just go from here to here instead of having to draw that side thing. So we're going to try that and see how it looks. I'm not too worried because I'm not doing this for anybody but me. If I like it, I can keep it. If I don't like it, I could go back and go through all the trouble of making that. We're going to snap these together then. So I have to get to edit. We'll start here. Snap. 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 finally snap. And now I have to change each of these lines so that they actually curve around. So what the computer would do if you didn't go through and make these changes is it would simply draw a straight line right through your pattern and ruin all your beautiful curves. In this case, I don't want that, so here we go. I'm going to bring this around. That looks pretty. And get rid of that. I'm leaving that one straight, actually. Oh, I think I'm going to hate that. It's going to make me crazy. I'm going to know I cheated, and I'm not going to like it. So I'm going to grab this one and bring it down. Not happy with this. Let's go back a few steps. I'm not getting it more and more lined up, so I'm going to take this and bring it over here this time more carefully. There you go. Now it's lined up. So I could see this. I can see it pretty bad, but I'm going to hold my breath and we're going to go look at what this design looks like on the optimized setting. So save this pattern, and I'm going to call it one test because that's what I call things when I'm doing practice stuff. That way they're usually at the top of the list and I can see them again easily. I can always rename them later if I want to. And we're going to go to quilt. I don't want to save the current pattern because I know I already saved it. And I didn't really want to go to quilt. Let's go back and close this. And I still don't want to save it. There we go. Now this is the old design. This is the design that if we tried to sew it out would have a line straight through the middle. Looks horrible. Nobody wants that. So we're going to reset and we're going to select our new pattern that we've just done all of that work on. Should be called one test here in blocks. I hope I hit save. It would really upset me if I didn't. Where'd it go? Where's one test? Oh my gosh. Phew. It's right there. Okay. So let's add a few more of these so we can see how they look. Oh, I forgot to do the first part. Oh my goodness. Well, we can't have that. So let's go back to Pattern CAD. Don't like this at all. We got to get this part fixed. So plus. There we go. Now, all I have to do, make sure I'm in Edit, and get rid of this, pull this down to here. We're going to snap those together, snap, and now, and they don't look snapped. I said snap, but I swear to you, this does not look snapped. Hang on, let me show you. Doesn't look like these two are one on top of the other. So, and you can see it right there. There's like a little gap. So I'm going to say snap again and hope that they actually get together. And they're not doing it. And I'm not sure why. Had problems like this before. And a lot of these don't look quite like they're snapped right. But I think the design will sew out okay. All right. So we're going to select this end and this end. That'll get us the handle that we need to pull this. And I can see that that's kind of a little behind. Oh, it's going to be perfect. Just like that. All right. Now it's all right. Now we got to save it. So it's one test. I want to override it. Let's close this. Nope. And now we want to get rid of this. So let's start over again. Select, and it's one test. And we're going to add a few more patterns. All right. So as you guys can see, well, let's go to optimize and then we'll see what's going on. Optimize. All right, it's one continuous line. You see the one over here, it just runs one right into the other. It ends over here. You can put as many of these together as you want. You could start a second row going the other direction, and you can either reset it or you can change the sewing direction of the second line and it will work just fine. The one thing that you might not like is that in my design, I've left this straight line here. I could see it a million miles away. Probably no one else in the world could. It's up to you whether you go to all the trouble to change that line too. I'm going to slow the animation speed down a little bit. We're going to animate stitching. All the way over. And then once it gets to this end, it's got to go back. That's the only way to make it look nice. And you either get that straight line or you got to go through this work to make it a curved line. All right. I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can leave a comment on the YouTube video or you can message me on Facebook. I really enjoy showing people how to use this and I'd be happy to try to help. If you like this, please click like, share, subscribe, do whatever you need to do, leave a comment so that I know that you felt this was worthwhile.